All right, seeing as it is 1 o'clock, I'm going to call this meeting to order and welcome to the Municipality of Thames Centre regular meeting, September 12th, 2022. I think everybody's in present except for Councillor Patterson, I believe. Okay, and just before I start the meeting, I would be remiss not to mention the death of Queen Elizabeth, as everybody has already heard lots of times. It's a very sad day. No matter what your views are on the monarchy, you do have to admire somebody that spent 70 years in service for her country and not through easy times either. So I think it is something to reflect on, the duty and service that probably we'll never see again in our lifetimes. So it is a bit of a sad moment, and to acknowledge that we have had our flags at half staff for this, as well as cloaking our pictures. All right, any additions to the agenda?
No addition.
Okay. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, Council? Nope. Okay. Any announcements that anybody would like to make? No, I would just say the only announcement I would like to make is a thank you to Thames Centre staff and administration and the special events committee. We had a very successful Bridge Fest on the weekend, and that is always an event that we look forward to. And again, the weather held out perfectly, and it was great to see everybody in attendance again. It was it's always nice to get these events back on track again after the last 2 years. So again, a great event, and it was great to see all the different vendors that came out. Now, I believe the next thing is a presentation or a delegation. And that is 5.1 CS 01022, potential for a velodrome in Thames Centre, Director of Community Services and Facilities. So Steve, are you starting us off with this?
Yes, Your Worship. Through you, good afternoon, Council. You have before you report number CS 010-22 for your information. The purpose of this report is to advise Council of the opportunity to bring a velodrome to Thames Centre by partnering with Forest City Velodrome Association. Forest City Velodrome Association was established in 2005 and leases the former London Ice House near 401 and Wellington Road. This venue is not a long-term option due to the age of the building, as well as the fact that the owner has the property listed for sale. As a result, FCVA reached out to Thames Centre to discuss the possibility of a partnership. Their president, Craig Linton, joins us here today with his presentation to follow directly after this report. Public-private partnership would see Thames Centre own the new facility, with FCVA being a partner that would assist with the planning, design and construction and running programs there. The partnership agreement would specify the financial commitment from both parties, along with all the other details. In exchange for their significant investment in the construction, FCVA would receive use of the facility, with all details to be negotiated and then specified within the agreement. FCVA is a regional establishment with members not only in London, but also from the surrounding areas, including Kitchener-Waterloo, Woodstock, St. Thomas, and Tillsonburg. So the Thames Centre would be an ideal, more central location for the group. Having a velodrome here would further establish Thames Centre as a premier sports tourism destination as well. This new building would not only be a velodrome, but a multi-use facility, with the potential to partner with other groups as facility tenants and to include other amenities that would benefit the residents of Thames Centre. Additional amenities could include, but are not limited to, a fitness or exercise center, gymnasium space, meeting rooms, and any other opportunities that may be brought forward and brought to light during our upcoming Community Service Master Plan update. There are no required decisions nor commitments, financial or otherwise, for Thames Centre at this time. If approved by Council in the future, the project could require an allocation of municipal land along with budget implications. Given that the project was not included as a capital project attributable to anticipated development in our 2021 development charge background study, staff would engage our consultants to determine the potential DC recoverable costs. If the project or a portion thereof is determined to be DC eligible, a resolution of Council would be required and a reconsideration of charges would occur during the next DC update, which is anticipated for 2026. The reference section of this report provides 4 links that I highly recommend everyone view when time permits. There are links, there are 4 videos. The first one is the Milton Velodrome. The second one, the Detroit Velodrome, which kind of show 2 different ends of the spectrum for what sort of a facility could be built, along with videos on 2 outdoor amenities that would be a great addition if we proceed with the velodrome. One being a criterium course, which is an outdoor course, which would double as a walking path, and secondly, a pump track. And I'm happy to answer any questions council may have at this time.
Council, any questions for Director McDonald? Just when I looked at the pump track video, that could be used by skateboarding too, or is it strictly just
Yes, I've seen that used by skateboards, rollerblades, scooters. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, council? Okay, so then I believe we have a presentation. So is Mr. Linton coming to the table?
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Craig. Go ahead
Yep.
whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the rest of council and to staff. I just want to say thank you on behalf of Forest City Velodrome Association for being able to be part of this process. Certainly thanks to Steve McDonald, who accompanied us on a couple of trips, one to Detroit, one to Milton, really showed an honest willingness to investigate the possibility further. That was great. Primarily, our focus is always on youth programming, and certainly more than half of the time that we spend at the velodrome is there teaching kids how to ride bikes. On top of that, we host races as well that do draw from the states as well at times. And we've had some pretty significant prize money allocated. And it's important to note that we made sure that the prize money was equal for the men's and the women's races across the board. So certainly we see growth in youth programming being able to happen at a new facility, and also certainly the growth of women coming into the sport as well, because a lot of people, you know, if they think about cycling, they don't necessarily like the idea of riding on the roads, whereas in the velodrome, you can be in a really safe, secure environment and, you know, become much more comfortable on a bike and riding in a group setting. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing that way for a lot of people who have come to us new to the cycling world. I'm going to leave it at that because I think Mr. McDonald's report was quite fulsome at this time, and given that it's an information report, and we look forward to continuing the process to move it forward. Thank you.
I remember my brother going to the velodrome at that on Wellington Road there, and that kept him busy through his youth quite a bit. So is it a good youth program? Questions, comments, council? Deputy Mayor Elliott and then Councillor Heeman.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. And through your worship, I just want to thank Craig for bringing this project forward. I know I reached out to a few local residents that I know use the facilities in London about the possibility of this coming out to Thames Centre, and they were very excited about this opportunity. And I think not just to have it as the cycling facility, to be able to incorporate other sports and other recreation into this is a big deal and a huge opportunity. We've talked in the past about how big sports tourism, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So the more that we can do to attract those dollars into Thames Centre is a huge benefit for us.
Thank you. And Councillor Heeman.
Yeah, I just want to comment how this once again is a really great opportunity presented to us by the community, and an example of staff collaboration that I think has yielded great results in the past 3 years. So looking forward to following this. Thank you.
Hey, any other questions? So we do have a recommendation that the report CS 1022 potential for a velodrome in Thames Centre be received for information. Can I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Craig, for your time. And now moving on to the consent agenda. And as council knows, the consent agenda items are considered routine and may require discussion. but no action on the part of council. Consent items are received for information in one motion. Council members may request that one or more item be removed for further action. There is 6.1 all the way down to 6.8. Is there any discussion that you would like to have about these? Deputy Mayor Elliott?
Yes, through your worship, I'd actually like to have discussion about 6.6, 6.7, and 6.8 if
Yeah.
possible. So if I'll just get started with 6.6, the Middlesex County Council meeting highlights. I just wanted to pull out and highlight the county's attainable housing review consultations that are underway. It's just phase one of the project is just starting. The consultants did a presentation for us at Middlesex County at our last Middlesex County Council meeting. But there is lots of opportunities for public engagement, including online survey as well as in-person engagement sessions. And I would just encourage council members and the public to get involved. It really is to take an inventory and a needs assessment on what housing we require throughout the county over the next 5 to 10 years. So I think it's important that we just all take that opportunity to make sure our voices are heard. Are you okay just for me to keep going?
Yeah, might as well. And then
Okay.
I'd like to talk about 6.8 as well. So at that point in time, we can both talk about it.
Okay. So for 6.7, the 2022 accommodation plan. So for those that don't know, this is actually the second accommodation plan that the Thames Valley District School Board has put out this year. During the first accommodation plan, through council here and myself, we raised some concerns about the numbers and the growth forecast that Thames Valley District School Board was presenting for Thames Center. They had made comments such as Thames Center was an aging population, that they weren't concerned about the capacity of our schools, including the fact that West Missouri was already sitting at 117% capacity. So the motion that came forward to this council and that was supported was for myself and Mayor Warwick, our CAO Henry, and our Director of Planning, Mark Bancroft, to meet with Thames Valley District School Board, as well as our school board trustees, to share our concerns. And from that, in this new accommodation plan, if anyone happened to notice, but under the 2023 capital priority projects, an expansion at West Missouri Public School has been added, which is huge. And so I would just like to thank council for their support in allowing us to foster those relationships with the school board to make sure that the needs of our community continue to be met. So that will be exciting. And I think for this council, as well as the next council, to continue to advocate to make sure that that capital priority project makes its way through and that an expansion at West Missouri happens. And then the final one, 6.8, the proposal of the Federal Electoral Boundaries Commission. So there are some, personally, I have some major concerns with what is being proposed, particularly in Thames Center. I had a meeting with MP Lindsay Matheson about this, and I know Mayor Warwick has met with our MP as well with her concerns. At our last county council meeting, I brought a motion for the county to submit a letter in regards to this, but again, there's lots of public input that is welcome. I know I personally set up for October 28th for the in-person to share my concerns, and anyone in the public and any council member can do the same. There's virtual and in-person and written submissions in order to share concerns. But the fact that our municipality is being split into 3 federal ridings should be a massive concern to us, not just from a representative standpoint and losing our voice amongst that, but also from a funding perspective, as funding from the federal government is brought out into ridings through their local ridings. And so when we're split up between 3 ridings and small pieces of larger ridings, that's really going to affect the grants that we're able and the funding that we're able to get.
And I'm going to ask you to take the chair while I express my opinion on that 6.8 as well. And I've had 2 meetings now. First one with MP Vecchio and MP Rude regarding the federal electoral boundaries, and then a second meeting with MP Rude. And I think, as I stated to both MPs, my priority is that Thames Center stays in one piece. And I think the riding is attractive to both MPs, so that, we're looking at it very favorably, but I do think it's a slippery slope, and I would like the permission of council to send a letter on behalf of Thames Center to the October 28th meeting, and be able to present that as well. So I think in that particular one, I would like to see a motion go forward that administration prepare a letter stating our position and our concerns about that. So would that be considered a motion enough, Tina, for that? I think so. It's outlined in the letter that I've provided, so we can go through that letter carefully and make sure it goes to the right person. But we're doing the same thing at County Council tomorrow. We'll be recommending a letter being sent, and I have been booked to speak on behalf, so I can bring a couple letters at the same time.
Okay, so just to.
Status quo. Yep. Okay, and I think that is reasonable. I'm pretty sure they can work around that. I do think that once again, the federal government came through with this, and it's right in the middle of a municipal election, which distracts everybody. But also, I think even though it's something that happens every 10 years, we do have to take in perspective that the last 2 years have been a struggle for everyone. People are just getting back on their feet, and to be able to throw in this in the mix is just, I believe it's the wrong time as well. I know that won't fly because they're looking for numbers, they're looking for solutions, but that is a comment that I would make. So having made that motion, I'm going to take that chair back again, if you don't mind, and I'll look for a seconder. Councillor Heeman, and any other comments? Okay, all in favor? So moved. Now going back to 6.1 all the way to 6.7, who didn't pay the hydro bill? There we go. I think Deputy Mayor Elliott is right. The Thames Valley District School Board, I think, take the chance to read that. I know it's a long report, but you don't have to read every page. You can read what's pertinent to us. And I think I'm very pleased that the planners of the school board are starting to consult with municipal planners about exactly what is going on. And that was through work of this council and staff. So I think that's a very important issue. So anyway, 6.1 to 6.7, any other comments? Councillor Heeman, are you making the motion? Okay, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? So moved. Now moving on to the reports of department. Clerk 00722, Integrity Commissioner and closed investigator appointments. And that, Tina, is that yours or mine? Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Notice was received from Independent Residents Inc. Mark McDonald, who is the municipality current integrity commissioner, meeting investigator, and ombudsman. Thank you. Terminating services effective September 30th at the end of this month. Since the appointment of an IC is required, staff is recommending that Arid Burles be appointed as the IC and the closed meeting investigator. They have acted in the capacity of IC, the delegated IC in the past. So they're familiar with the municipality and the issues. They also provide a lot of services to a large number of municipalities, including 2 in the Middlesex County area. So they have a lot of experience with the accountability and the act. If appointed, Arid Burles would assist in updating the municipality's code of conduct, the complaint protocols, as well as the council staff relationship policies. They would also be willing to train the new members of council in the first quarter of 2023. If anyone has any questions, the CAO and I can answer those for you.
Any questions? Okay, then we do have a motion that the report be received for information, and then a bylaw appointing Arid Burles LPP as the Integrity Commissioner and closed meeting investigator be approved, and that a new council code of conduct policy be presented at a future meeting for council's review and consideration. Mover, Councillor Heeman, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? So moved. Now moving on to 7.2 PDS 04422, request to purchase municipal lands to enlarge 2637 Dorchester Road. Who's taking that report? Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is a straightforward request by the owner of 2637 Dorchester Road. He has lands to the rear of his property that are owned by the municipality. These lands owned by the municipality were originally dedicated to Thames Center by the developer of the boardwalk at Mill Pond subdivision. So this land that is being sought, it is 0.2 acres in size. It's cleared, unforested area, and it's maintained by the owner of that property, as well as the previous owner for over 20 years. So staff has gone through and evaluated the proposal and feel that it would be appropriate for the municipality to sell these lands. It should also be noted that under our new bylaw governing the sale of surplus lands, there are some exemptions that apply. If the lands are sold to the owner of abutting lands, and also there's an estimated value of less than 10,000. So the lands do not need to be declared surplus by council because of those notions. No appraisal is necessary, and also public notice is also not required. So should council be willing to sell these lands, I'm seeking direction from council to have the CAO enter into an agreement of purchase and sale with the owner. In terms of financial implications, proceeds of the sale, it would be appropriate if they would be directed to the future capital projects associated with the Community Services and Facilities Department. Also, any applicable legal and surveying costs, those would be borne by the purchaser. So that is my submission for you this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, and I think you did provide us a map of that as well, showing the lands being landlocked and previously taken care of by the homeowner in front.
Yes, that's correct.
Council, any questions? Okay, so there is, first of all, that report PDS 04422 be received for information, and that should council support the request received to increase the size of property, be it subject to bylaw 65/2022 being a bylaw to govern the state of surplus lands as follows with the 3 conditions as listed. So council, your decision. I'll move her. Councillor Heeman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Noted. Carried as 3-1. 7.3 PDS 04522 Bill 109 municipal implications. And again, whose report is this? Mark's. Okay.
Mine, Your Worship. Members of council, this is a summary report that outlines the municipal implications relative to Bill 109, which were amendments to the Planning Act and the Development Charges Act. Relatively straightforward report, and with the recommendation that it be received, and also that I be directed to undertake any necessary changes to planning processes and procedures, as well as reviewing the fees and charges bylaw for council's consideration before the end of this year. I'm here to answer any questions, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, pretty quiet out there. So again, I have a motion that report PDS 04522 be received for information, and that council direct the Director of Planning and Development Services to undertake necessary changes to planning processes and procedures, as well as municipalities' fees and charges by law for council's consideration before the end of 2022. Move Councillor Hunter, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? So moved. CS 1122 Flight Exec Center expansion consideration. Director McDonald.
Thank you, Your Worship. You have before you report number CS 011-22. The purpose of this report is for council to consider a recommendation from the Flight Exec Center Expansion Committee to include the option of incorporating new municipal offices within the scope of the expansion RFP. Consideration of such a move provides several potential advantages that are documented in the report, which include this current facility getting to the point with space limitations. We've pretty much grown to full capacity of this building. This current facility is also getting towards the end of its useful life for the HVAC systems as well. This facility is at its capacity with the current electrical setup, so we would need renovations and costs there incurred to expand in that regard. Furthermore, a move to the Flight Exec Center would truly make that part of the municipality a community hub where people can gather for everything from sports and recreation to senior center to VON to the municipal office and more. As well, this current facility is due to consider considerable site work outside in next year's budget. So again, a move could avoid some or all of those costs. The final point I just wanted to make on this report is that this sort of a consideration could be a provisional addition to the RFP. And by that, I mean that the request for proposal would specify the core project, things that are definitely going to be a part of the expansion at the Flight Exec Center, specifically the senior center and the VON, with there being funds for both of those things already earmarked for those two specific things. Whereas other considerations such as the municipal office could be specified as provisional and priced separately, so that when such proposals come back for consideration, then council can make an informed decision on whether or not that extra cost is something they want to take on or not. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Council? Any comments, questions? Councillor Heeman and then Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Yeah, I'd like to speak in favor of this motion, as I think it's consistent with the motion passed by this council earlier in the year about comprehensive services and looking to have a service delivery model that is closer to residents. And I think we are at the limits of this facility in some ways, and I think we can be creative to figure out new solutions. But I think this definitely brings us closer to our end users and residents, and that's a good thing.
Deputy Mayor Elliott.
I the same thing. I would speak in favor of this in just the fact that I think it's smart just for us to look at what options we have on the table. We know the costs that are coming up to this facility. And so if the opportunity presents that we can change the way we do things, I think that's just a smart way for us to go to look at all the options. So I absolutely support this.
Okay. And I as being on that committee, as chair of that committee, it is a discussion that we've had. And I think it's important to emphasize that we know we have dedicated funds towards the senior center expansion, the VON expansion, and we have had discussions with the Lions Club because they are part of that consideration as well, that they would be investing in that. I think to be able to incorporate this as a separate part of the report means that we can get that information without jeopardizing the status of moving ahead with the considerations that we've already discussed. So I think, this is a smart time to do it. And it would be very interesting to see what can be proposed. From someone who used to sit out that classroom and watch the fire engines leave this building, it's not the first time I've seen the use change here. So I'm sure that we can probably, look at different ways of doing things. So I'm going to call the vote. Who would like to make the motion? Councillor Heeman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? Thank you. And now moving on to the mayor's report, county council report. You do have the county council highlights in front of you in the consent agenda, but since our last meeting on August 8th, which seems like a long time ago, August 9th, I attended the Community Schools Alliance AGM, as well as Deputy Mayor Elliott. On August 10th, I chaired the Special Events Committee. 11th, I chaired the Flight Exec Expansion Committee. And later that night, I attended the Accessible Park grand opening, which was a wonderful evening, and saw lots of people come out and had some entertainment involved. And I think it was a great way to kick off that inclusive park. August 12th, I attended the Western Ontario Wardens Conference meeting. I had a meeting with Leanne Rood and a meeting with Dave McKenzie, both MPs for Oxford and Middlesex area, regarding short line rail expansion through my job as chair of SCORE. August 13th and 17th, I attended the AMO conference. I was in a joint delegation with London, a joint delegation with the Western Ontario Wardens Conference, joint delegation with SCORE, and with Thames Centre and other municipalities regarding CN, the ongoing saga of the Drainage Act. And so that was a total of 13 delegations where we met with the ministers and lots of discussion. Interesting to see the new government, some familiar faces, some new faces. But again, it should be interesting to see what this provincial term brings us. August 18th, I attended the Kettle Creek Educational Trust, Environmental Trust meeting at 8 a.m. That's why I can't do it because it was an early meeting. And then I chaired the Kettle Creek Conservation Full Authority meeting later that day. August 24th, I attended the annual Retired Wardens Picnic. This year was hosted by former Mayor and Warden Jim Maudsley, and thank you for your hospitality. August 30th, I attended the library board meeting and county council. August 31st, met with Karen Vecchio and CEO Henry regarding a few different issues pertaining to Thames Centre, but as well as the federal boundary adjustment. September 1st, I attended the OFA regional meeting with MP Vecchio, MP Rude, Councillor Paul Hunter was in attendance as well. And we had a special guest speaker that was Senator Rob Black. And always very interesting to hear what he has to say. He is a person that's very familiar with all sorts of rural life, including 4-H, and it's great to see him as a senator. September 5th, I attended the Middlesex Plowing Match and was proud to be third place, which is, I don't really know how they judge it, but I'll take the third place. September 7th, I attended a walkthrough on behalf of the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority. We acquired some lands and are putting in a new trail for people to use in the St. Thomas area, which will be open in the spring. But we did take a walk through that. It's a very beautiful walk, and I encourage anybody in the spring to go through that. Later that day, I met with other mayors at Leanne Rude's office to discuss the potential boundaries. September 8th, again, I chaired the flight expansion, attended the quarterly meeting with the City of London regarding social housing and childcare. September 9th, I attended a retirement celebration for our Shoppers Drug Mart pharmacist, Paul Cott. After 48 years, he is retiring, and that was quite a nice celebration they had for him behind the counter at Shoppers Drug Mart. September 10th, I went to the Ilderton 4-H celebration, 100 years of 4-H in Middlesex, which as a former 4-H leader, I was very proud to attend. Later that day, I attended Bridgefest, as mentioned earlier. It was a great day. The weather held out for us all, and there was lots of people participating in that. September 11th, yesterday, I was honored to attend Max Frost's 90th birthday and give him a present with a certificate from Thames Centre. So it was a full time spent away from you guys. So Councillor Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Sorry, Mayor Warwick, there was just one meeting in there that you missed that we were both in attendance of. I know you had a busy week that week, but we did both attend the AGM for TAPMO, the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario. And we did have a presentation on the 5 priorities that TAPMO's laid out. And the 2 big ones for us here in Thames Centre being the aggregate levy, as well as ensuring that aggregate pits are properly assessed by MPAC. So.
Yep, thank you for reminding me. Not sure how I forgot that, but anyway, thank you. All right, and now moving on, any unfinished business? No? All right, and moving on to 10.1, it's a notice of motion, reconsider of resolution 186/2022. Read the report PDS 04022 official plan amendment 0322, a lot of numbers here. Proposed addition and removal of lands, Dorchester settlement area. So I would like to open up this discussion again with council's permission. So would somebody, if I move to do that, would somebody second it? Yep, for reconsideration. So looking for a seconder? For discussion purposes?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask you to take the chair, Deputy Mayor Elliott, and I'm going to go through. Oh, sure. Sorry. Yeah. The mover, seconder, all in favor?
Sorry, a seconder just to open the discussion. to discuss it again.
So for the reconsideration, we plan to move on in second year and then vote to reconsider it. So the majority would need to want to reconsider.
For discussion purposes.
So it takes a vote in order to
reconsider.
discuss it. Okay.
Okay, so then I'm gonna say with a mover and a seconder to open this for discussion purposes. Anyone in favor? So I'm just gonna comment. I think the second day that I was elected mayor in 2018, I did have a delegation of seniors come to me and ask me about senior housing. And that's been almost 4 years now. So I think that this conversation regarding seniors housing and the possibility of is really important. So I'm a little disappointed that we're not discussing this because I think it is the right of our residents to know what's available and what the considerations are. So in that, that would be the reason to have this discussion. And I know we talked about this the last time it was brought up, and I heard the words ethical being used. And I think this is a point where our ethics are exposed. And I think it's important that council move ahead in a transparent fashion. So that's why I would like to have this discussion again. But if council is not willing to reconsider, then I will leave it at that. Okay. So moving on to new business. Any new business? Okay, bylaws. Do we have to, we had a question about one of the bylaws, Mr. Bancroft. Would that be bylaw 80/2022?
Yes, that's correct, your worship. And I just want to make it clear to council the content of the bylaw, which is official plan amendment number 28. I just want to be clear that through the amendment, it provides policy direction for the Hawthorne Park subdivision, and specifically as it applies to block 13, which is an internal block, which it would allow for an increased range of medium density residential uses, including stacked back-to-back townhouses with a general, with a maximum height of 3.5 stories. And then the other component deals with blocks 16 and 17, which is along Dorchester Road, to allow for a mix of uses, but with a maximum height of 4 stories. And that is just the clarification or the confirmation that I wanted to provide to members of council. Thank you.
Okay, any questions about that confirmation? Nope, seeing none. So we have 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, and 12.4. Looking for a mover to have them adopted as presented. Councillor Hunter, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Okay, our next, do we approve the minutes already?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking because that sometimes gets missed. Our next meeting will be Monday, September 19th at 5 p.m. And now at what time is it? 1:39. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Heeman, second. All in favor, obviously. Yeah. Elliott. And then Heeman, Elliott. There was no